Hey everybody, welcome back to another installment of me mapping out all of the weird ghost shows from the early 2000s that I can find. Today I want to take a look at an absolute classic, MTV's Fear. Fear was initially released in 2000, and this was a time when reality TV was really uncertain. No one really knew what the formula for a ghost hunting show should be. It took a bunch of networks a ton of time and experimentation to get to what we have now, which basically is just a wacky guy goes to a scary place and freaks out. But before that was the industry standard, it was the Wild West. They were throwing everything at the wall and waiting to see what stuck. And in that chaos, there were a few brave networks who stood up and asked the big questions. Questions like, why don't we just torture people? When Fear came out, it was a pretty big success, and people liked it so much because it was so different from other ghost hunting shows. Other shows, you had paranormal investigation teams who presumably do this for a living, and in this show, you just have 6 random people off the street who MTV gave a bunch of expensive camera equipment and no instructions. Every episode starts with an introduction to the new set of strangers.
I'm Steve.
Hi, I'm Ariana.
My name is Ryan.
I'm Laura. Name is Christina.
Usually you wind up with some of them believing in ghosts, some of them not believing in ghosts.
I believe in ghosts. I believe in the paranormal.
I believe that our brains possess electromagnetic waves which create certain things to happen.
True, that's just like a fact, that's just how the brain works. Like imagine if you asked someone like if they believed in Bigfoot and they were like, well, I know when I'm breathing in oxygen and then the lungs take that and I breathe out something else.
I was always taught that no one knows the future except for God, so I try to stick with that. It makes my life easier.
Ghosts? I only know one ghost. The Holy Ghost. So the contestants are sent to their haunted location. In this episode, it's the West Virginia State Penitentiary. And they're taken there in a totally normal way that is not creepy at all. Honestly, I respect that the show wants to keep up this like eerie vibe, but I think they might have overshot it with this. I'm half expecting them to get all of the contestants into the building and then for a producer to come out and be like, all right, time to make the ghosts. Thankfully, though, the contestants don't get murdered by the production staff. They're taken to a safe house, which will be their home base for the rest of the investigation. Only this safe house doesn't feel super safe to me because it's very clearly designed to scare the hell out of these people.
Is it haunted? What is this?
Prisoners carved up their victims. 1986.
You've got a corkboard covered in these gruesome pictures and like details about the atrocities that happened at the prison. And then you have a videotape that also goes into explaining all the dark history there and how aggressive and scary the ghosts are. And to make it even worse, the safe house is actually the chapel of the prison, so Steve's not going to be able to shut up in there.
No one knows the future except for God.
And this is where I really got suspicious that MTV set out with the goal to torture these people for entertainment. Because you don't need this stuff for a normal ghost hunt. They don't put Zach Bagans in an isolated room with a bunch of terrifying imagery before he goes and tries to sleep with a ghost.
Can you touch a part of my body? Wow.
He doesn't need that. He's just ready to go. But I digress. That videotape that I mentioned tells them the rules for the ghost hunt, and it also reveals the big reward.
You will each be paid $3,000.
All right, $3,000, which I'll be honest, doesn't feel like enough based on the tone they're setting. This is the scariest place on earth. People get so scared here that they die. You have to stay here for 3 whole nights, and if you do, you'll get enough money to buy a used 1998 Honda Accord. Everybody plays this little card game, and basically it just gives them their tasks. Like I said, this was before we figured out how a reality show should flow. So people get assigned these individual investigations where they have to go and stand in these haunted parts of the hotel and report their findings. And as the hunt begins, we get to see a little glimpse into our contestants' minds.
Fear is something that you don't want to materialize.
I'm just preparing myself for what we're getting ready to do.
Claim any religion, but if I were to be one, I would probably be a Catholic Celtic witch.
Okay. Kind of a weird overshare, but go off, I suppose. That does make me wonder what the rest of the interview that they pulled that clip from was like. Okay, Christina, how are you feeling going into this? I guess I'd be a witch. Okay, well, yeah, so that's not really... Yeah, I would cast dark spells, I'd brew a big potion in a cauldron... Okay, Christina, can we just get back to the... So these initial investigations are pretty standard. Derek, Ariana, and Ryan are all assigned to their various locations. They go, they find no ghosts, and they come back. The best part about this segment is that Derek is sent to a place called The Hole.
I am now in the hole, guys. I am in the hole. Over.
Me went on. So at this point, you may be wondering what the other three people are up to, and the answer to that is nothing. The little card game decided that Steve would be in charge, so he just hangs back in the safe house. Meanwhile, Christina and Lauren are safeties, or in other words, they are standing outside of the prison waiting to hear their friends get murdered by ghosts. Now, at first, this felt unfair to me, but then I realized that's what MTV wanted. They wanted me and the team to feel like they were in an unfair situation, because if they keep them divided, they're easier to psychologically annihilate. Later on, though, they do switch roles, like Christina winds up going on her own investigation where she finds a big pentagram on the wall and somehow finds a way to make it all about her.
You guys are going to be really happy I'm the one that came in here and none of you, because there is a huge pentacle on the wall. I feel okay in here.
Yeah, actually, I feel okay in here, you know? This is kind of normal for me. I don't know if you guys know this, but I'm actually a witch.
Yeah, we know. You told us that already before you went.
Lauren's also doing an investigation now. She gets spooked by a bat, and Derek gives her the least comforting thing anyone could ever say.
That's bad.
Don't worry about it. They hate humans.
Don't worry. There's no reason to be afraid. They hate you. You're fine. It wants you gone or dead. It doesn't really care. It fucking hates you. You're okay. Also, a note on Derek and Lauren. Lauren goes into a room where there's a big chair with a tarp over it, and she doesn't want to pull the tarp off because she thinks she sees what looks like the shape of like a body underneath it.
Derek, there's a person underneath there.
And Derek immediately calls her crazy.
Derek, there's a person underneath there.
There's nobody underneath there.
Yes, there is.
Then they cut away from Derek and Lauren really quickly, and then when they cut back, Derek's on the radio like, Lauren's all good, she's good to go, she's gonna pull the tarp off.
Can you tell me how Lauren's doing? Over. Lauren's getting ready to do it. We're good to go.
Which tells me that in between those two cuts, Derek broke out some military-grade gaslighting. Babe, you're scaring me. You normally love going into scary dark rooms and pulling off tarps over mysterious objects. Besides, you have nothing to be afraid of. Haunted prisons hate humans. The conspiracy theorist in me is thinking that Derek was put on this show as a plant to further drive a wedge into the group and make this a more miserable experience for everybody else. But that's just a theory. Obviously, I have no proof for that outside of how he behaves and is. Anyway, in a very scary moment, Christina's light goes out right when all the room lights go out at the same time. And rightfully so, she freaks out a little bit.
My light on my camera went out. The light everywhere went out. Please?
Now, the fact that the lights all went off at once could be compelling proof of the paranormal. That is admittedly pretty freaky. Or it could be proof that this show is evil and someone on the production staff shut the lights off for content. Ultimately, there's no way to know, and who's to say? Or should I say, booze to say? Because it's a ghost show. So like I said, Christina is freaking out and the group tries to talk her down.
Christina, you've got to wait there. Right now, Lauren is freaking out in her own world too.
I love the idea that Lauren can hear that. Christina, you have to stay where you are. Lauren cannot do this right now. It's just like we talked about in that group chat we all made to make fun of her. She sucks at this.
You guys made a group chat without me?
Oh. Sorry, Christina, I was on the public channel. In a crazy twist, though, Lauren actually doesn't give up and leave. Christina does. And so the team has to start their second night down a member. Night number 2 is largely the same, but there are a few notable twists. For example, this time, Derek has a plan to help Lauren stay calm. Alright, creepy atonal singing, let's go. And judging by the noises that Lauren makes to drown it out, I'd say it's working. Whatever the case, I guess it's too much for Lauren because on night 2, she decides to leave as well. This means we're down to 4 team members, and it also means that Derek is sad because now who's he gonna gaslight? Now, whether it's from the ghosts or from Derek, on night 3, we can clearly see how stressful this experience is getting. Members of the team are having breakdowns. People are saying stuff like this.
And the darkness is corrupting all of our minds, you know what I mean?
It seems like this experience has truly broken them. And it has never been clearer that the real purpose of this show is not ghost hunting. It's more like, hey, get a load of these fools who want to catch a ghost. We're gonna destroy their minds. The only thing that's gonna be haunted is them. I will say there is a point where Derek has a crisis because he can't finish a challenge. He's too scared.
This wasn't supposed to happen. I wasn't supposed to.
And when he comes back to the group, their response is not helpful. They're all kind of just like, come on, man, you can do it.
You're putting pressure from us on yourself that we are not putting on you.
Looks like the gaslighter has become the gaslightee. Thankfully, though, Derek is able to sing his way through his last challenge. Which means these 4 people all get to walk away with their potentially too small prize and their lives. Now, initially, I was intending this video to just be about this episode of the show, but while I was looking into it, I found this article about how the show's production was, how it got made. I just think it's super interesting. Cast members got very little information about what they were getting into. They knew they were going on a 5-day trip, but the producers didn't tell the cast their destination, and the first few days of the experience were spent in a hotel room. We tenderized them in the hotel room. Jesus Christ, dude, they are torturing them. Cast members couldn't leave, couldn't phone their family, and couldn't watch anything other than horror movies while they waited. Yeah, the only thing we let them watch at the hotel was horror movies, and if they want to order room service, it would only be raw meat with bones in it. The hotel did have a really nice spa, but the walls did ooze blood. I do think it definitely adds to the show's vibe that they were like, okay, you get 2 days at a hotel, and then boom, you're in a prison full of ghouls. Man, I thought MILF Manor had a crazy twist, but this takes the cake. This is like if on MILF Manor, instead of the twist being that the men were all of the ladies' sons, it was like they took the MILFs to Alcatraz, locked them in there, gave them flashlights and knives, and said, go crazy. Also, according to this article, there's an urban legend about why the show got canceled. Apparently, people for the longest time thought that someone died because they got so scared. The story was that MTV must have only canceled it because a cast member died while filming an episode. There were a number of ways someone could have died. A fear-induced heart attack, possession by an evil ghost, or simply a tragic accident at a poorly maintained abandoned site. They really snuck the ghost thing in there. It could have been any number of things. It could have been health complications, old age, Mothman vaporizing them with his glowing red eyes. Apparently those rumors weren't true though. They just canceled the show because it cost too much money to make. Ultimately, I really like this show. I think it's cool that they took 6 strangers and by the end of the episode, they were kind of friends. They were overjoyed when Derek finished that final challenge. Do I think it was chill of MTV to do this to them? Maybe not. But is it good TV? Yeah. Anyway, that's all for this video. Feel free to subscribe and leave a comment if you feel like it. I don't control what you do. Bye!